free the land on another great day of resistance, Black August edition. The year 2023 marks and commemorate two of the greatest acts of resistance of our ancestors, of our story here in the Western Hemisphere. One of those great acts of resistance was the Great Igbo Landing, the Great Igbo Resistance of 1803, which marks the 220th commemoration of that act of resistance. But also, during this year, it marks the 200th commemoration and anniversary of one of the greatest acts of resistance. The Demerara slave rebellion of 1823 took place this year in the country of Guyana, one of the greatest slave rebellions in the history of our story. Before we get to the Demerara slave rebellion of August 18th to the 20th, 1823, let's talk about a little bit of the slave history there in the country of Guyana. First, we know that the Dutch colonized this territory, occupied this territory in the 1600s to the 1660s, where later on in the 1700s, the British Empire would come into power in that territory. Two European colonial invaders. The British Empire colonized and brought enslaved peoples from the west coast of Africa, from the Igbo tribe, Yoruba tribe, Ashanti tribe, and the Mandingo tribe to this territory, where also they conquered and enslaved the indigenous peoples of the Guyana, South American continent as well. During this period of time, the British Empire would be the leading European nation of the capitalist system of slavery in the Caribbean islands and on the South American continent, where they would introduce the most brutal, harshest system of slavery to ever exist in that period of time. So the enslaved peoples of Guyana got fed up and refused the harsh treatment of the enslavement that the British Empire would implement on these ancestors. This would lead to several slave rebellions. One was also the 1763 Berbice slave rebellion, led by the great revolutionary New African Coffee. The British Empire inhumane system of slavery would lead to some of the largest exploitation of enslaved workers in the history of slavery that would put the British Empire at the top of all empires at this period of time, economically wise. The enslaved peoples of Guyana caught wind of this and refused to be exploited no more. So this leads up to Black August 1823. One of the great revolutionary leaders of this rebellion goes by the name of Quamina, who was from Guyana and Ghana, the Ashanti tribe. He had a son by the name of Jack Gladstone, who was an organizer on the plantation of Nip. This would lead to organizing over 10,000 to 13,000 enslaved peoples who would rise up on this date, August 18, 2023. They would put down guerrilla campaigns, raiding plantations, stocking up ammunition. They didn't kill too many white people, but there were white casualties in this uprising. But this would lead to great casualties amongst the enslaved African peoples and indigenous people of Guyana, where they would lose over 250 enslaved combatants and guerrillas of this uprising. The leaders, Jack Gladstone, would be deported out of Guyana to St. Lucia, where he would live out the rest of his life. There's not too much known about what happened to his father, Quamina, but some say he was also deported. Some say he was executed. But many of these casualties of this slave uprising would be used as an example. They would put their heads up on stakes and let the other enslaved peoples in Guyana know not to raise up against the British Empire no more. So on this day, we send our salutations out to the great slave resurrection, insurrection, rebellion, and revolution of 1823, August 18th, led by the great Jack Gladstone and his father, Quamina. May their revolutionary spirits live forever. Free the land by any means necessary.